All right, let's do it. Let's have the conversation, the awkward conversation about retirement. As a real estate professional, what kind of retirement plans do we have in place? Do we have a guaranteed pension plan lined up for us when we retire? Do we have a employer who's matching our 401k? Absolutely not. Whose responsibility is it? Unfortunately, it's ours. And for most people I speak to in the real estate industry, they just get anxious thinking about it. And instead of, focusing on coming up with a specific plan, it's let me distract myself unconsciously by all the different things I need to do today just to keep our head above water, right? In fact, it reminds me of that movie with the character, anytime something unpleasant or dangerous was upon him, he'd close his eyes and think somehow that would make the problem go away and disappear because he couldn't see it anymore. And sometimes we do that too. So in this video, we're going to jump into what can we do as real estate professionals to set ourselves up for retirement. The reality is we're in a unique position that most professions are not in, meaning if you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, or you're a plumber, or name the trade, a lot of those trades don't have the ability to set themselves up for retirement or create their own assets per se. In real estate, we do. In fact, think about it. How many people come to real estate agents trying to buy rental properties to set themselves up for retirement? You and I, if we're in the real estate world, are on the front lines of great opportunities to create our own assets if we'll be intentional about it. Now, I know you've probably heard, and maybe you've already dabbled a little bit in getting some rental property. And maybe you're someone who's already winning at this, but if you're like most people I talk to, the reality is we can do much better, right? One of the things I love about mobile homes is that you can get in with way less capital, and it's really an investment vehicle for you to purchase a property. You can flip it for easy cash, but if you want to start establishing some cash flow to take care of you for years in the future, you can start building a portfolio of notes. And that's a fancy word of saying several mobile homes that you've sold with owner financing, that people owe you money on a monthly basis, which is going to serve as the cash flow to take care of you when it's time to retire. Now, you might be one of those people who says, I never want to retire. I like working. I want to stay busy. And I'm the same way. I like that too. But the reality is there's a difference between having to work and not having to work. And if something were to happen to you and you couldn't work, it'd be nice to know that you have some cash flow coming in. And even though we all feel like we're going to live forever, the reality is there's going to become a time when we can't work anymore. And we want to ensure that we're getting assets that are going to take care of us as we get older. In fact, I think a lot of us miss the reality that while we're in the midst of our career, it's not just about putting food on the table today, it's about setting ourselves up and putting food on the table tomorrow. And we look at the professional athletes, and a lot of us are always amazed at how could they make all those millions of dollars throughout their career, and then when they retire shortly after, they're broke. The truth is, most people do the same thing too. In fact, I use the analogy that going through life, when we're making money, it's like there's a water faucet flowing. And that water faucet is the money that we're making. And we're sticking our hands out, and the money's just flowing right through our hands. And it goes through our hands, in the sink, and down the drain. And at the end of our career, what we have left is whatever's in those hands, which usually isn't much because we can't really hold too much in our hands, right? So here at Founding Fathers, we have a philosophy of creating a financial pan, not a financial plan, but a financial pan, which is basically an instrument, a plan that you're putting underneath those hands to ensure that you're capturing that money instead of it going down the drain. And in that pan, you're taking that money and you're putting it to work to buy assets that are going to take care of you later in life. And what kind of assets can you get? Well, of course, you can do the traditional thing and get real estate, condos, townhomes, single family homes. You could even do commercial properties, get mobile home parks, get apartment buildings, fourplexes. One of the things I advocate for is getting mobile homes because the price point is so much cheaper, right? If you're trying to buy real estate, especially now, how much money does that take to buy a rental property? The amount of money you have to put down. And it comes with a lot of debt and risk, counterparty risk. If they stop making payments, you're responsible for that note. And then in addition to that, all the maintenance that goes with a rental property, right? Because you're responsible for taking care of fixing everything. What I like about mobile homes is you can buy a mobile home cheap. If you're on the front lines in this business, you can fix it up and resell it. You can recoup a lot of that money that you invested by a nice down payment. Then you can establish cash flow, which is probably about the same, if not more, than you would have been making on that rental property. If you factor in the mortgage payment, the actual profit you're making on the mobile home note is probably going to be a little bit more. So your cash flow for the same amount of money or less money is higher. In addition, it's a note, you're the lender, so you don't have to worry yourself about having to come out of pocket to fix anything when the water heater goes out. And you don't have to pay for all the high expensive costs of a mortgage if the tenant moves out or damages the property, right? So I really love mobile homes for the fact that, one, it's a great way to establish some passive income that can really take care of you later in life. And it's a great way to make high income now, right? The amount of money we're making flipping these mobile homes gives us an opportunity to amass a lot of money in a short period of time. And instead of doing what we did in the past, which is take that money and live a great lifestyle like the professional athlete, we're going to take that money, be intentional about putting food on the table tomorrow by buying those assets, by creating those mobile home notes. So I love the vehicle of mobile homes in comparison to rental property. Final note, I guess I would say, for all the people who are in those shoes of feeling like it's too late, depending on what age of life you're in, I just want to remind you, you can do a lot in 5 years. You can transform your entire life in 5 years. In fact, I've done it. I've helped other people at our company do it. If you're intentional about where you're going and you know, hey, look, I only have 5, 10 years to really set myself up, and you really devote yourself to your business, to your budget, to having something to show for your work, then you can take that money, stack it up, and quickly start investing in things that are going to take care of you later in life. I want to end with this. Think about how many years you've worked in your life, how many hours of work, how much pain and struggle you've went through, driving in bad conditions in the weather and dealing with all kinds of issues and problems. How much do you have to show for all that work today? For most of us, we don't have a lot to show for it because we spent all the money that we made while working. My challenge to you is to have something to show for your work. At the end of every month, there should be a profit. You should have something to show for your work. At the end of every year, you should have increased your net worth. You should have something to show for all that work that you put in that year. Yes, it's important to take care of putting food on the table today, taking care of your family, taking care of your bills, but it's bigger than that. It's not just about survival. It's about setting yourself up for the long run. And the way to do that is to get assets that take care of you.